Good afternoon, student. History Unit 6, the Middle Age. First, what is Middle Age? We so far discussed about ancient civilization and ancient history in Europe, classical world, like that. Now you see Middle Age. What is Middle Age? Middle Age in Europe between the fall of Rome in 476 AD and the beginning of the Renaissance in the 14th century. It also sometimes called the Dark Age. Middle is the Dark Age. The Middle Age are called between beginning of the modern European history. This Middle Age approximately from 5th century to late 15th century. Learning objective is to learn about the empires of China during the reign of Tang, Song and Yuan dynasties, to understand the evolution of Japanese society under the Fujiwara family and Kamakura shogunate. To trace the background of the birth of Islam, to acquire knowledge of Arab and Ottoman Empire and their contribution to the spread of Islamic culture, to analyze the characters of feudalism in the Middle Age, to understand the relationship between the state and the church in the Middle Age. Introduction. Historians call the period between the end of the Roman Empire, we saw last class, end of the Roman Empire in 476 AD and the capture of Constantinople by the Turks in 1453 AD as the Middle Age. The Middle Age has been further classified as early or central, high and later Middle Age. That is early Middle Age, central or high Middle Age and later Middle Age. In the early Middle Age, Christianity followed by Islam began to establish themselves as a dominant religion of the Europe continent. The Middle Age witnessed a rapid development marked by the territorial expansion, demographic and urban growth, that is, number of urban towns emerged, and the restructuring of the secular and ecclesiastical institutions. Those days, all the activities depend on the base of religion. Now move to secular, that is non-religion. The history of Arab civilization that began a little later than the history of Byzantium covers a period of roughly 630 AD to 1300 AD. That is Byzantine Empire we discussed about previous class. Known as Saracenic civilization. What is Saracenic civilization? Saracenic civilization, primarily Arab Muslim, but also Turks. They were one of the nomadic Arabic tribes. The Saracen civilization, center of new religion and its impact on Christian Europe, was responsible for evolutionary, social and intellectual changes. SELJUQ Turks. The SELJUQ Turks were the nomadic horsemen who converted to Islam. They were conquered much of Central Asia and the Middle East, and it will become late Ottoman Empire. SELJUQ Turks were the tribes from Central Asia. They established a powerful empire in Persia. Their reign was one of the greatest progress in literature, art and architecture. Similarly, the Ottoman Turks moved Asia Minor and established, Asia Minor means it's Turkey, and established an independent empire, contributed to science and technology in a big way. East Asia in the Middle Ages. East Asia, China and Japan. In China, Tang Dynasty 618 to 1907 AD. In China, the Xiu dynasty collapsed in 40 years because of financial burden imposed by public work like Grand Canal and the expensive war waged to conquer northern part of Korea. The Tang dynasty rose from the widespread rebellion that took place to establish a strong centralized empire. YUAN, who organized the rebellion, met Yang, the emperor of China. YUAN proclaimed himself emperor. Several hundreds kilometers of the Great Wall were built along the northwest frontier. Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China between 8th and 7th century BC, the warring state in China built defensive wall to protect themselves from enemy from the northern side. During Qing dynasty, the separate walls were connected and consequently the wall stretched from east to west for about nearly 5,000 kilometers. This wall considered to be one of the wonders of the world today, served as to keep nomadic tribes out. This wall, considered to be one of the wonder of the world, served to keep nomadic tribes out. The wall was further extended and strengthened by the succeeding dynasty. Now it is 6,700 kilometers in length. Tang dynasty undertook enormous public work. The capital cities, Boeing and Chong'an, were built. Scholars, officials trained in Confucius philosophy were appointed to counterbalance the land-owning aristocratic class. As a result, the agriculture surplus went to the state as a tax, not to the aristocrat as a rent. State monopoly of salt and tea add to its revenue. Sung Dynasty 962 1279 AD. The rebellion of hard-pressed peasantry at Farmer under the leadership of Huang Chou dealt a death keener to the tottering Tang Empire. The Tang Empire split into 5 rival states, 5 small states, until it was reunited under the new dynasty Sung. Trade and industry flourished during the reign of Sung dynasty. Iron and steel industries became highly organized. Fall of Sung dynasty. Sung period was also a period of great prosperity to the land-owning, that is landlord class, officials and the rich merchant. The peasant, by contrast, had to suffering grinding poverty. That is, they were to suffer severe poverty. The internal crisis could develop. There were 2 external invasions from the north that lead to the end of the Sung dynasty. The Mongols established their rule in the name of Yuan dynasty. Yuan dynasty 1279 to 1368 AD. The Mongols, who overran Russia and the whole of Central Asia, did not spare China either. Mongol Khan became the Great Khan in 1252, who appointed Kublai Khan the governor of China. The Mongol presence from one end of Eurasia, that is part of Europe, to the other played a key role in the spreading Chinese technological advance to the less developed society in the West. The Mongol court in Beijing impressed foreigners like Marco Polo. The poverty of peasantry continued. There were revolt of religious sect and secret societies. Finally, the leader of the Red Turbans, a revolt organization, Chu Wang, captured the Mongol capital, Beijing, and proclaimed himself emperor in 1369 AD. The Ming Empire 1368 to 1644 AD. The Ming Empire, which replaced the Mongol Empire, consciously discouraged industries and foreign trade in order to concentrate on agriculture. This resulted economically China lagging behind in the 16th century. Other part of Eurasia, that is Europe, building on the technique of Chinese, began to march ahead. Japan. Many of ancestors of Japanese came from Korea and some from Malaysia. It was through Korea that Chinese civilization reached Yamato. Yamato is the original name of Japan. The original inhabitants of the country are known as Anos. The original religion of the Japan was Shinto. Their main religion Shinto. It was mixture of nature and ancestor worship. Japan remained in isolation for many centuries because it's an island. This gave them the benefit of enjoying freedom from the foreign inventions. In Japan, Buddhism came through Korea. In Japan also, the leading family opposed and fought each other to gain power. Their emperor Mikado was an autocrat, but a puppet in the hands of powerful families, that is the landlords. The first great family that controlled the state was the Soga family. SELJUQ was the leader. He made the central government strong. After the death of SELJUQ, his family was driven out of them. Nakato or Kamatri, founder of the new clan, Fujiwara family. During the 200 years of rule of Fujiwara, a new class of large landlords emerged. These landlords were also military men called daimyos, meaning the great name lords. The daimyos became powerful with their retainers and armies. Out of the fight between two chief families, the Tara and Minamoto, Erimoto emerged successful. In AD 1192, the emperor gave him the high-sounding title of Cheat Shogun, which he means the barbarian subduing great general. The title carried full power to grown hereditary. The shogun became the real ruler. In this way began the ruler of shogunate. Yamato established his military capital, Kamakura. Therefore, the first shogunate is called the Kamakura shogunate. Japan followed China in all spheres of life, but in its own way. The emperor became a ceremonial head. The government was a feudal military government administered by samurai or warrior. The Mongols, who changed the course of history as in Asia and terrified Europe, were successfully replaced by Japanese under the shogunate. The decline of the ruling dynasty started, and 1338 AD, the Kamakura shogunate ended. A new line of shogunate came to power known as Askila shogunate that lasted for 235 years. But this was a period of conflict and of war. Three men ultimately reduced Japan from the prolonged civil war. They were Korbanga, a daimyo or noble, Hideyoshi, a peasant, and Tokugawa, one of the distinguished nobles of the time. By the end of 16th century, the whole of Japan was again united. Okay, student, we may discuss the remaining lesson next class. Please follow the assignment given in the PDF. Thank you, student.